Interesting topics, fascinating guests, fun, and surprises, plus your thoughts and opinions. It's entertaining and informative talk radio with the Tone Arm. Call 430-9300 or on your cell at pound 930. Long distance, 1-877-827-2346. Live Talk with Wade Sorochan on AM 930, The Line.
And welcome back to this Friday Anything Goes edition. Well, I made the announcement a few times throughout the show here today, and I'm excited. If you want to go back to broadcasting history of Edmonton, one of the most popular radio shows ever was the Bill and Bill Show, which I had the pleasure of being on for about 10 years. And one of the hosts of the program that not a week goes by that somebody doesn't ask me whatever happened to Bill Jackson joins me on the program right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the one, the only, Bill Jackson.
Wow. Man, that's really exciting.
I know, that's quite the build-up, isn't it?
Man, I didn't even get that when I was being paid.
Bill, I know that I can speak on behalf of my listeners right now saying how wonderful it is to hear your voice.
Well, it's really nice to be able to still talk, too.
At your age.
At my age, I mean, just think about it.
Yeah. Well, before we get to, what you've been doing all these years and what you're doing right now, let's just go back to how it all started for you and the Bill and Bill Show.
Okay.
That'd be right now.
All right.
What?
You want to know when it started? How it started?
Yeah, I want to know how it started. Like, when did you get on the show? And because I know it was before. I came on in 1981, but the show was on, I think, started in, 76, 77?
76.
Okay, right.
Actually, it was kind of a fun thing. I was executive director of Junior Achievement, and the late Bob Lang we had Bill Matheson coming in from New York, and he kept saying to me, you ought to work with this guy. I said, why? He said, well, you two get along so good. I had done some things for Klondike Days and phoned in the radio station for them.
Yeah.
And every time I'd phone the numbers in, he'd interrupt me, and I'd say, would you shut up and let me get the numbers on? And you could just sense this kind of a good guy, bad guy thing going. And one day I said to him, look, quit bugging me. I don't want to work in the radio station. And he said, well, I said, look, who in the right mind is going to give me a 3.5-hour lunch hour? He said, well, if I can get you a 3.5-hour lunch hour, will you consider it? I said, maybe. Next thing I know, he phones me. He says, yeah, I talked to your board, and they said they'd give you a 3.5-hour lunch hour. I said, well, I have to go out and recruit kids, so I won't be there all the time. Well, that's how it started. I went in, and I worked a few days, and then I had to leave, and then I worked, and that lasted for 17 years.
Yeah, 17 years. Now, the question I get a lot from people is, what was it like working with, Bill Jackson, Bill Matheson? How did you guys get along and everything like that? So how was it for you and working with Bill Matheson? Because you two were very different people.
Yeah, I think the show evolved. It changed. One of the last things that Bill said to me, this is kind of a silly thing, but one of the last things he said before he kind of went into the Alzheimer's inning, he said, when I go, he said, you come to my funeral. I said, of course I'll come to your funeral. He says, but you have to come on your motorcycle. And I said, oh, why? Because I want to see it. I said, well, you'll be dead. He said, I don't care. I want you to come on the motorcycle. You and I were the two that sit beside each other, and I went one of the windiest, coldest days, and I went down on my motorcycle.
Yes, you did, and I wimped out, and I drove, and I stayed overnight.
Oh, you stayed overnight? I went back.
You went back in the dark on a cold night.
I almost hit one of those little weed things, antelope. One jumped in front of me, but...
Oh, no. Wow.
But that's okay.
So 17 years on the program. Now when I came on in 1981, I was just this young kid, and
so was I.
We were all younger back then, and I did something that I took a risk, playing a song on the show, and I remember Bill Matheson turning to me and saying, "You're the fastest tone arm in the West," and here to this day, 25 so years later, I'm still referred to as the tone arm. You obviously get that too. That people still fondly talk about the days of listening to the show.
Yeah, I don't talk about it much, believe it or not. Actually, I've never been on the radio. You're the first guy that's got me on the radio.
I know.
And you've been trying for 2 years. It's been, it'll be just about 15 years this summer.
Yeah, I know. I know you've had a lot of requests for interviews and stuff, and I'm honored that you're doing this for me on my program here. You called me an insurance salesman because you said there's no man with endurance than the man who sells insurance.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and every time you call, I'd call you Wayne instead of Wade.
Yes, I know. But
I tried to discourage you, but you just kept phoning.
And now you gave in.
Well, actually, I won't. For an inside joke, I'm doing a Leslie Nelson report for you.
Okay, we won't go there. Listen, I have a very rare clip, Bill, that I think you'll appreciate. This is
anything I'll appreciate because I don't have a single clip of any show I ever did.
Well, you know what? And I talked about that. How back then we never thought about taping our shows.
No, never.
And it was so harder back then to tape because it was actual tape. Nowadays, it's so easy to extract anything from any show, from any whatever. So I got this rare recording from Bill Matheson's wife, Carmen.
Oh, Carmen.
Yeah,
Good.
she approached me and said, I have one cassette, and would you like to listen to this one cassette I have of 1989 and take what you want from it? And I said, sure, I will. So it took a lot of time going through it and trying to, get what we needed and everything. So I've got this.
Oh, you sure are a talk show host.
Well,
Talk about long-winded.
Sorry.
you remind me of Matheson. Now we'll get to this caller in one moment, but first one.
Okay, let's get to the clip. Let's get to the clip. It's from 1989, and it's you and Bill, and all of us were involved in this conversation. We were talking about baldness.
Oh, yeah.
And back then, I was starting to even thin out back then, and you were starting to thin out, and the whole conversation.
Oh, my hair's all come back, by the way.
Has it really?
Oh, do you believe everything I say?
No. Okay, let's listen to this clip about baldness. 1989, The Bill and Bill Show.
Yeah, well, they haven't been for a long time. Okay, for example, Bill. Yeah. Fortunately, one of my wife's relatives died. I mean, unfortunately. What was it, her? Oh, no, they didn't die. They got married. I knew that it was either dead or married. That's the only time we get together. And so, like you see these, she's got 5,000 aunts. And anyway, you meet them, and they all say, oh, hi, Bill. How are you? You're losing your hair. That's the first comment I get. And I always think, that's not nice to say that. The milkman. I haven't paid him for a couple of months. Oh, thank you. Oh, you're losing your hair.
No, there's male-type baldness, and it afflicts, I think, 95% of it. And it comes through the female line, I think.
Yeah.
Because my dad, he had as thick a hair as I ever saw.
Yeah, but you're 63. Wade, I'm 47, and Wade's 29. We're just kids.
Yeah.
And we're going bald. I know.
Yeah.
You know what they should do, bald people? And I'm not joking about this. I think they should start having those. You know how girls have their little designs painted on their fingernails? Mm-hmm. I think men should go for having their head painted little things on their head, like a scene of the Mount Narquay. Why not? Little shellac on it and
Sure. I don't think. Well, they might. Sure. It might.
Or how about a tattoo on your head? No, why not? Tattoo your name and address, or if you ever get lost.
Jimmy, head with hair, long with hair. It has to do with hair. When people say, we haven't seen you for a long time, and they say, oh, you're losing your hair?
Yeah.
Oh, people don't say that.
No, it happens to me, and I don't lie. It happens all the time.
Well, what I would do...
You need a new circle of friends.
No, I need a new circle of hair.
Do you remember that?
Wade, I have a memory just like an elephant. I don't remember any of it.
But I mean,
you got to remember, we were on 2.5, 3 hours a day for 17 years.
Yeah.
We had so many, and we had no script. We didn't have email. We didn't have what is it you have there?
Google.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
we didn't have Google or internet. We had nothing but 4 ratty old books.
Yep.
About the towns and one really dumb things that we used for contests. Everything we did was totally ad-lib from beginning to end.
And from my end, everything I did was manual with records, vinyl records, and turntables.
Oh, I still have quite a few of those. In fact, I have 750 records.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
LPs.
Okay, yeah. But so nowadays it's so easy to get a song on the air through the internet. But back then it was hard. So we had the tools, but it was a lot harder. I got another clip coming up here. We're going to just take a quick break here. We're going to talk about. We talked a lot about songs on the show, and
did we?
Oh, Matheson would always be singing show tunes and everything.
Oh, you said songs.
Songs.
I thought you said songs.
No, not thongs. Songs.
Songs.
Okay, yeah. You hold on the line here.
Okay.
I'm talking with Bill Jackson, and we're going to have more with Bill coming up in just a moment, and some classic clips again from the old Bill and Bill show right after this.
The show that has people talking. Life Talk with Wade Sorochan on AM 930, The Light.
And welcome back to the program. My guest is popular broadcaster Bill Jackson for 17 years. The Bill and Bill show that people are still talking about to this day. And, these clips that we're playing right now, it gives people an idea, if they've never heard the show before, Bill, just an idea of some of the things that we're talking about. Like you said, no script. A lot of times you would just come into the studio and just wing it and then go off in all kinds of different directions.
Well, actually, I was listening. I turned on. I wasn't sure what the number was. I must confess I don't listen to talk shows. And I turned it on. I heard you talking about eggs.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, doesn't he remember this? It's the Air Canada is the Canadian eggs, and they're pink for Air Canada. And Americana are the green eggs that come from the United States. You forgot that.
I forgot that. You're right.
I tell you, we taught people so much that didn't matter on that show.
It got people talking. Now, if I had to ask you, and I'm thinking you're going to answer this the same as I would, I wrote down my answer here about the number one topic that got most people calling.
The number one topic.
Yeah, and I'll say I think it was a silly thing that we did every so often, but it really got people riled up on both sides of the debate.
I guess I'm thinking Northern Lights.
Oh, let's put that one. That's another one.
That's a big one.
I'm thinking of the toilet paper.
Oh, to this day, I still go into a public washroom, and if the toilet paper doesn't come off the front, I change it.
Yeah.
Everyone, I remember winning this argument with Bill Matheson. I said, Bill, the toilet paper comes off the front. He said, no, it goes down the back.
Yeah.
Because if it comes off the front, the cat gets it.
Yeah.
I said, well, you don't all have cats, Bill. And then I got a copy of Good Housekeeping, a really old one. And remember when I brought that in?
Yes, I did.
And it said, the proper way for your toilet paper is to hang over the front. And that, I would venture to say that probably came up 100 times in the 17 years.
It is, and the Northern Lights thing. Bill Matheson swore that Northern Lights did not make any noise, but
yeah.
But
I always told him, you can hear him. I've been up Rainbow Lake and all kinds of places, and I've heard him. And he'd say, no, you're hearing something else. And I just remember saying to him, yeah, but does the tree make a noise when you're all alone and it falls down?
Yeah.
And, we argued about that.
Oh, yeah. See, those
people would phone from all over. Wait, I got to tell you the one story, the funniest one, and I think you remember this.
Okay.
We were talking about something in this truck driver. By the way, the truck drivers and the farmers never showed up in our ratings neither, because they just weren't included, but they were there.
They were there. To this day, I talk to a lot of farmers who listen to us in their combines.
This one truck driver, he phoned up and he was madder than, he was mad. I said, why are you mad at us? He said, well, I'm at North Battleford. I said, well, that's good, isn't it? He said, no, I was supposed to turn off at Lloydminster and go up to Cold Lake. He got listening to our show. He went about 100 miles out of his way. I'll never forget that.
That's very good.
I felt so sorry for the guy.
Definitely one of the most loyalist audiences probably to any radio show. It was just amazing, and through that show too, I had a girlfriend, I got engaged, I got married, and my girls were born, and through all that, I got so many cards and letters and people wanting to come to our wedding. So it was just a real family that we had within the building with people like Ron Collister, Gord Whitehead, George Payne. We had that family inside, but we also had that family listening to us.
Oh, yeah.
It was a real family.
I think that's what I probably miss more than anything is I don't miss the radio, although sometimes I wish I could get on and vent my spleen because I'm so upset politically. I'm still kind of an activist. I think I made 4 calls about things in the last 2 weeks, but I sometimes want to get on and just read somebody out, but I can't do that anymore. But otherwise, I don't really miss the show as much as I miss the people.
The people.
And you remember, I did the Cjca Weekend in Mobile for like 11 years.
That was a motorhome that went out to all the small communities? Yeah, exactly.
I probably knew close to half of our audience. I probably had personally met at one time or another, so I had a real close attachment with the audience.
Yeah, and we also had people who phoned in regularly, like 3 Point John.
Oh, he still calls.
And Faye from Red Deer, and we had, who sang from Red Deer?
Richard.
Richard from Red Deer, who would always wanted to sing Happy Birthday. So we got to know these regular callers. Now, speaking of singing, here's a clip again from 1989 that I think you'll enjoy. Listen to this.
It's like that old song about after the ball was over, Katie took out her glass eye, threw her false teeth in cold water, corked up the bottle of dye, threw her wood leg in the corner, hung her red wig on the wall. What was left of poor Katie went bye-bye after the ball.
I'll never make fun of a modern song again. What was the other one? Davy Crockett he played, too.
Crockett. That's the one I should have said. Davy Crockett. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Born on Turtle Mountain in the fall of 82. Brought up in the land on the Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. He killed him at Frisbee when he was only 2. Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier.
Why do you play the piano when you talk?
I don't know.
And how old was he, did you say?
Davy Crockett?
Yeah.
2.
He was born on Turtle Mountain in the fall of 82.
No, it's not Turtle Mountain. Born on... Where was he born?
Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier. Born on the mountaintop in Tennessee, the greenest state in the land of the free. Raised in the woods so they knew every tree, and killed Timber Bar when he was only 3. Davy Crockett, the king of the wild frontier.
Now, it wasn't 1 or 2, it was 3.
All right, so he killed a
You guys don't know,
bear.
but there was a Canadian Davy Crockett who was born on Turtle Mountain. He killed him a grizzly when he was only 2.
By the way,
You know, this is, here I'm listening to you two talking about Davy Crockett killing a bar when he was, and you said 1, and Matheson said,
I know.
and so I had to play the song, as I always did, and it was like, no, it was 3, and still Bill would say, no, it was a Canadian Davy Crockett.
Well, you know, I don't think there was a thing that I said that Bill couldn't argue with me about, and vice versa. So it was just a matter of one of us saying something, and the other would just automatically,
Yeah.
you know, it might be. Well, I can think of all the songs that Bill knew, every one.
He did.
But remember that time we sang that Elvis Presley song?
Oh, Blue Christmas?
Yeah.
Oh, we
And
did.
we argued about that.
Yeah.
Argued about it.
Yeah, because he hated that song.
Yeah.
He absolutely hated it, mostly because the backup singers were like, "I'll have a blue Christmas," without, and then the backup singers would go doo 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 doo.
And he said, you know, Bill, in 10 years from now, nobody will even know who Elvis Presley is. And I said, I can remember, you know, I remember saying a lot of things that came true.
Yeah.
Actually, now that I'm off the show and I look back, I was a lot smarter than I thought I was.
Very good. Well, you know, I learned so much from the topics on the show. I learned so much from both you and Bill Matheson.
Yeah, but you didn't remember the egg story.
Okay, I'm sorry, I forgot there.
And did you tell him about standing the egg on end on a full moon?
We'd always say on a full moon, and
Have you done that in your show yet?
we haven't done that on the show yet,
Come
but
on.
we will do that about standing up an egg on end. Yes,
Yeah.
We'll probably have lots of calls on that too. But remember that story when we were coming back from commercial, and we'd be talking on the intercom and says, "Okay, commercial's coming up. We're coming back on." And for some reason, Matheson was laughing so hard that his teeth fell out.
Yes, I remember that.
And we come back from commercial, and Bill Matheson is on his hands and knees under the table looking for his teeth.
Oh,
And none of us could speak. I had nothing. You had nothing. We had to go back into commercial.
Well, I was so broke up. But he had no sense of timing. I mean, we'd be out there talking, all of a sudden you hear Wade saying, Bill and Bill, would you please get in? We're on the air. We're on the air.
Oh, yeah.
We're both out there having tea and talking to the staff. And Wade's in there by himself playing something. And Bill, I guess we'd walk in. And, hi, how's it? And Bill was worse than me.
Oh, yeah.
He was worse than me.
He was.
Forget.
Well, Bill was very, very sociable. Anyone who walked by the studios, he'd get up out of his chair and go out there and sing and greet them and everything. And I'd be like, Bill, it's time to get back on the show.
I remember the day that Walter Gretzky walked by, and we walked by. I said, would you like to come in for a few minutes, Mr. Gretzky? And he said, sure. I think he sat down with Red Fisher, and I think we talked for an hour.
Yeah, I know.
We just pick people off the street sometimes.
Yeah, that's just how the show was. It just sort of, and that's what I'm trying to do with this show too. It just sort of goes off in all different directions. Bill, we have just a couple minutes here. Want to get to a song. We're going to end with Clyde Galinka. I found the original Clyde Galinka Stardust that we used to play on the show. But before we get to that, just tell people what's life been like for you all these years, and what are you up to?
Oh, it's great. Actually, the truth is I haven't had a headache since I left radio. I used to have 3 or 4 a week.
Yes.
And I feel great. I actually think I'm in better shape than I was when I was working, and that's almost 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. I do a lot of cycling, motorcycling, that is. I do a lot of, I go to the office 3 or 4 times a week.
The office?
Yeah, Tim Hortons.
Okay.
Keep very busy there. We pretty well solve the problems of the world there.
Sure.
I'm an absolute, avid, unbelievable reader. And probably my wife and Bill were responsible for that, but I read 150 to 200 books a year. I just can't get enough books.
Mm-hmm.
Love to read. And we have a trailer out in the east of Bashaw. We go out there all summer long, and we sit there with our birds and our hummingbirds and motorcycle and enjoy life. No, life's been really grand.
So you're enjoying life. That's good to hear.
Great.
And I know the people listening are glad to hear that. Bill, I just want to say publicly that I had the most fun ever working with you and Matheson. We had a great rapport. We sort of knew what we were all thinking. If I was thinking about a song, you would always just stretch enough to allow me to get that record on the turntable. We laughed so hard. We had a great family of listeners. And Bill, it is honoring to me that you're on my show today.
Well, I'll tell you, Wade, nobody has endurance like the man who hosts the talk show on Cjca.
Thank you, Bill Jackson.
Thanks for having me on.
Let's end with Clyde Galinka. Enjoy, and we'll talk again. Thank you.
Okay.
And there is Clyde Galinka. And again, thank you to Bill Jackson for joining me on the show, and I hope you enjoyed that. If you remember the show, it brought back memories. If you didn't know the show, hopefully you got a chuckle over what was then one of the best talk shows on radio. Have yourself a great weekend. We're back Monday from 3 to 5:30. The program is called Life Talk. I'm the Tone Arm, Wade Sorochan. Have a great weekend.
You grew up in Calder, didn't you, Bill?
You betcha.
Uh-huh. I remember you.
Do you?
Oh, of course.
You do not.
I lived around there, 17th Street and 29th Avenue, right across from St. Edmund's School.
And you knew me?
I knew you.
If I knew Susie like she knew Bill.
Oh, if we knew Susan like Bill knew Susan, the stories we could tell. This is the 11 to 2 show on 930 CJCA.